Hello, happiness abounders, and welcome back. Today I'm excited to dive into the second episode of our spiritual self-care theme week. And today I want to talk specifically about finding your passions. I think that when you can find your passions in life, it can feel like spiritual self-care. And bonus, it may potentially touch on the other areas of self-care depending on what your passions are. So if your passions are playing sports or being physical with your body, that could fall into physical self-care. If your passions are poetry and art, that could fall into emotional or intellectual self-care. If your passions are going and eating dinner with your friends, that could fall into social self-care. So I think that there's so many options here for finding our passions, but I really want to dive into that today as a form of spiritual self-care because I think it's important to know what we like and really pursue those in our lives so we can become and be our best selves. So what does that mean? What does that look like? What in the world am I talking about? What I mean is straight up finding your passions. What is that to you? What's something you love to do? And I'm going to say this, what's something you love to do that you may not always have time for? What's something that sparks joy in you and just gets you giddy and you don't really get to go do very often? And if you do have something like that that you get to do very frequently, that's awesome. You're finding that form of spiritual self-care regularly. But I think for most of us, the things that bring us the most joy, the things that we are most passionate about, get put to the side because other life things take precedence. And if that's the case, that's why I want to highlight your passions as a form of spiritual self-care. Because I think when we can dive into our passions and we can have time set aside for them, a couple of amazing things happen. One, we get that giddy feeling in our stomach. Those smiles cross our face, that intensity of coming and sitting down and doing something that you love and are passionate about. Something that challenges you, makes you a little bit nervous, but you love doing it anyways. That's amazing. That's something I think we all strive for and want in our life. And when we aren't dedicating time to that thing because it's taking second fiddle, if you will, it's taking that back seat, we lose those opportunities to experience that kind of physical and intellectually challenging and emotionally stimulating environment, that situation. And when we are connected emotionally, mentally, and dare I say it, spiritually, that's when our lives can take on entirely different levels. So I want to ask you, first and foremost, do you have a passion? Something that gets that for you? And if you do you dedicate time to it regularly? Do you spend time feeling that way? Because it's so exciting, right? So joyful, so happy. And if you are like, yeah, I have something like that, but I don't ever dedicate the time, the kids, life, my husband, housework, bills, a job, all of these things get in the way of me being able to do that. Then my next question is, how can you adjust your life to maybe just give you that opportunity for your passion once a week? And set it up as a form of spiritual self-care. Set it up as something that's for you to help you be your best self. Now, if you said, wow, I would love to have something like that, and I don't, then I want to encourage you to set aside time to try new things, to discover your passions. I have some people in my life that love certain things and would never ever try something on the other side. And then when they finally tried something on the other side, they discover that they love it. For some people, that's cooking. For some people, it's baking. And yes, there is a difference. Some people can cook and some people can bake, and some people are blessed to be able to do both. But there's things like that that's like, oh, I would never really enjoy that. I don't think I would. And then when you try it and you find that you do, because it's challenging in its own ways, and you get that giddy feeling. For me, And this is really interesting. I've only done it once, but oh, did it light me up. And so it's one of those things that I want to save my money for, and I want to do again and again and again. And for me, that's glass blowing. My husband and I went to Seattle on our honeymoon 7 years ago, and we went to the Glass Museum in Seattle. And oh, I was so amazed. And I just had that like feeling in my soul, in my gut, that I needed to do glass blowing. So I saved up all my pennies for several months, and then my brother-in-law and I went and took a glass blowing class. And it was 4 hours of pure bliss. It was so fun. And I had, a little paperweight and some glass flowers and a little cup, and that I got to take with me and be like, I made these. And it was so fun and gave me all of that, like that challenge of trying to spin the pole so the melted glass doesn't fall off, and putting it into the fire and getting more melted glass onto it so it can create the shape, and picking the different colors and being like, what's going to look good and what's not, and all of these amazing things. And it was so mentally challenging and emotionally, like I had fallen in love with this, and I'd saved my money, and I was finally there, and it was just so fantastic. And it's something that I was like, I'm going to do this all the time. And then life got in the way. But it was something new. It was something I never would have even explored before. But I had something happen. We went and saw the museum, and it sparked this desire in me and this passion for this thing. And then I got in this state of flow while I was doing it. So I want you, if you are like, I have nothing like that, I don't want you to feel bad. I want you to look at the opportunity that's in front of you. The opportunity that you could find something that ignites that for you. Another thing I love to do that I don't spend much time doing that I want to do more of is like hiking. I love being outside. I love it. It completely is a passion for me, and it ignites that flow when I'm outside. And it can be like, hiking is fantastic. I love that. But I even have gotten that when I've been out pulling weeds or throwing a toy for my dog in the grass. So I know those are a couple of things for me. Playing volleyball is a physical and spiritual thing for me, because I love it so much. There's something about moving your body in the way that you can come up and get high off the ground as you possibly can and hit a ball as hard as you can, right in the corner deep pocket where nobody can get to it, just inside the lines. Oh, I love it. Oh, I'm so passionate about it. And those are 3 very different things. Glass blowing, volleyball, going outside. But they are things that if I hadn't tried them, I would never know. I'm also really passionate about podcasting, by the way. This is my state of flow. This is my passion, to share these things with you. Now, but this episode isn't about my passions. This episode is about, if you have something like that in your life that you love, start setting aside time to do it. If you don't have something like that, do not feel bad. You are not broken. You are not wrong. It's an amazing opportunity to see what you can find, and to test and to trial and see what you love to do. So I'm going to leave you with that today, and a promise that I am going to dedicate more time to my spiritual self-care. I'm going to save up my money and take more glass blowing classes. I'm going to spend more time walking and hiking outside, and I'm going to spend some more time playing volleyball. So that's my promise to you on Discovering and Set Aside Time for my spiritual self-care and passions, and I want to encourage you to do the same. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to know what your passions are, or what you're thinking as you listen to this episode. You can reach out to me at happinessabound.com, Happiness Abound blog on Facebook, or happiness_abound on Instagram. And if you like this episode or any other episodes of the Happiness Abound library have changed your life, or even a thought process for you, I would love to know. Please leave a review on iTunes, or you can also leave one on Facebook. Helps other people find the podcast and join our Happiness Abound community. So all of that said, have a wonderful day. Rediscover and set aside time for your passions, and above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.